Well, joining me now to discuss this topic further is Gordon Hinkle. He's the Vice President of Global Operations for the California Center, which helps connect U.S. businesses with opportunities in China. Welcome, Gordon.
Thank you so much for having me on. It's my pleasure.
So let's start with President Trump saying that he would rely on U.S. Congress and the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States, or CFIUS, to address overall U.S. investment restrictions. And that's instead of a presidential executive order, which was targeting China. So what are the pros and cons of this new approach?
Well, we're very hopeful as a U.S. company that deals in both imports and exports that a deal is going to be cut eventually. So we're still remaining very optimistic that there will be a resolution to this, because it's not good for any of the people who are on the ground doing business, such as our company, that really helps other U.S. companies to get a foothold into China markets. So we're very hopeful that a resolution will come quickly, because it hurts both directions for imports and exports.
Now, we are hearing some reports about the expanded powers that CFIUS may be getting. What are your thoughts if we do have CFIUS playing a more integral role in some of these investment decisions?
Well, I think an integral role would be very crucial. Like I said before, we rely on our politicians to make sure that there's a free trade opportunity. And one of the things that's not being discussed is, what about all the collaboration that's going on outside of just the regular business that has to do with environment and energy and food safety, those efforts where China and U.S. have had great strides in recent days. So we're hopeful that, again, that resolution will come quickly and we can put a lot of the talk about a trade war behind us.
So given, as you mentioned, some of this cooperation that we have seen, and then we also obviously have this additional scrutiny, how likely do you think these new barriers to foreign investment are going to discourage foreign investors when they think of the U.S. versus, say, other countries?
Well, right now it's definitely having an impact, because, I mean, you can't ignore the fact of what's going on. The rhetoric is scaring a lot of that foreign direct investment away from the U.S., and like I said, we have to remain hopeful as on the ground. I mean, business has to go on. We continue to forge ahead no matter what. And there's thousands of other businesses doing exactly the same thing. So we can't just stop because of rhetoric going both directions. We have to continue to make business happen and thrive. And there's so many great relationships that we're not going to give up on. And so we're just hoping to plead with both sides, leadership in China and the U.S., to come to a quick resolution, understanding that there is a trade deficit that needs to be balanced, but also at the same time, there's a practical day-to-day business activity that would really hurt a lot of us who are on the ground doing business.
And a lot of people agree that the trade deficit does need to be addressed, but take issue with the way that the Trump administration is going about it. So by having these tighter investment restrictions, in terms of sectors, who would be the big winners and losers?
Well, right now, I think everybody's a big loser when you're talking about halting trade. So again, it really comes down to the fact that the leadership on both sides has to come to a resolution. We're all looking at this July 6th deadline when the tariffs are going to be enacted as kind of a pinpoint date. And I know it's kind of coming to the last hour here, but we're all still very hopeful that something can be done in order to mitigate or to stop those tariffs from being enacted. And that really goes to the very top. Both President Trump and President Xi need to come to an agreement.
So as we see these trade tensions, the tariffs, and now these investment restrictions, how do you see this giving the desired effect that the U.S. actually wanted, which is more jobs and better deals?
Well, exactly. I mean, of course, when free trade is flowing, there's more job creation, and we understand that as much as anybody at the California Center. We also have sister companies that are importing a lot from China, so we're getting hit on both directions, both on the imports and on the exports. So again, job creation component will definitely be affected if you're going to increase, tariffs to the degree that are being talked about right now. I mean, we're talking, new tariffs on billions of dollars worth of trade. So this is not good for anyone. But we also understand that, a lot of this is painful. And our hope is that both sides will take a hard look at what they really need to do to increase the relationships between the U.S. and China, and have a positive step going forward. Like I said, there's way too many positive relationships to ignore. And so we plan to press forward, and I hope other businesses will do the same.
Now, while the Trump administration is tightening up its investment, we know that individual states do still want to continue that free flow of trade with China. So as China opens up more opportunities for foreign investment and trade, does the U.S. risk isolating itself by going in the opposite direction?
Of course, there's always that risk, and we also work in more than just physical, products, whether it be agriculture or goods. We're talking about services in entertainment industry. We're talking about sports. We're talking about educational efforts. All those areas get impacted because we're relying on those relationships to move forward globally to enhance, like I said, clean energy issues, food safety. It runs the whole gambit. So, of course, job creation, will definitely be impacted when you're talking about restrictions on that trade activity.
All right, thank you so much. Gordon Hinkle there, Vice President of Global Operations at the California Center.